as the title insinuates, or just states blatantly, we're going to be reading some awkward situations that we can all relate with. So, I think we should just jump right into it. I'm going to alternate between whispering and soft-spoken, I think. Maybe a little more soft-spoken. Anyway, so let's jump into some awkward situations. Saying hello or how are you to somebody and getting 100% ignored. I think I'm guilty of both of these. It's my worst. I hate that's like my biggest fear is saying hello and just someone completely ignoring it. But I'm also worried that if someone says hello, whether they're actually talking to me or someone else, so then I won't respond. And then I'm basically guilty of doing the same thing I'm worried about. But it's really awkward when someone says hello and it's aimed at someone else and you say hello back and then you realize that they were talking to you. And yeah, that's really uncomfortable. It's really uncomfortable. Someone showing everyone in the group something on their phone and waiting until it is your turn. Yup. Especially if it's something that you're like not certain you're gonna enjoy or like find funny, so then you like have to force a reaction just so that you match everyone else in the group. But this person says the opposite. Even worse if it never makes it to you and you have to pretend you're not secretly dying to know what it is. Having your stomach rumble in the middle of a quiet class or meeting. Good Lord, my university life. 4 years of this. It was always, if I had a class from like anywhere between like 10 and like noon, right before lunch, I would always have this problem because I was always hungry, and then my stomach gets the rumblies and I end up just like, my solution was to drink a bit of water and then just like have one hand on my stomach at all times to try to conceal it. I don't know if it worked, but it seemed like a good idea at the time. But, oh yeah, his go-to cover-up strategy was to furiously flip through pages of notes to try to drown it out. Yep. Yeah, that's I'm surprised I've actually related to all of these so far. Good job, Reddit. Not being able to pick up when someone else is completely disinterested in what you were talking about. I think I've gotten pretty good at being able to do that, to be honest. But who knows? Now I'm questioning everything. What if when I talk about things, my friends don't actually give a crap? I know I'm guilty of sometimes zoning out when people are talking to me about things, but I always try to show my interest by, saying like, or like, oh yeah, I totally get what you're saying. But I don't know. What if other people are doing the same thing to me? I guess I deserve it, probably. Someone replied, you haven't said anything in 45 minutes, are you okay? Yeah, pretty much. Ever drag your shoe across a tile floor and have it make a loud, wet fart sound so everyone in the room looks at you? Then you insist it was your shoe and try to make the sound again, but nothing happens? Yeah, that. Someone replied, and leather couches. Yeah, that's happened to me, but I guess I don't really think too much of it. It's usually, I don't know, I find it pretty easy to distinguish between the squeak of a floor or a couch and like an actual like fart, so I don't know. I think it's relatable, but maybe I just don't care about that. Being called on to answer a question you really have no idea how to answer. Legitimately. I've had nightmares about that. Oh, that's terrifying. That's happened to me a couple times in university. And, I'm pretty good at BSing my way into at least some kind of an answer. But boy, yeah, that's really... really uncomfortable. Sometimes the best answer is really, I don't know, because sometimes you just genuinely don't know. It's like, okay, weird story, but in French class in like grade 10, we had we were going through French words, and we just went through like 5 or 6 definitions probably. and our teacher had called on me to be like, no, what does this word mean? And I completely, like, it just blanked because I just completely forgot what we were talking about, and I had no answer. And man, she just like called me out on it and was just like, well, it looks like some people here aren't actually paying attention. And I'm like, you called on me in the middle. I wasn't expecting it. I just freaked out and just my mind went blank. Some people have performance anxiety, okay? Anyway, it's hard. That's a hard situation. When you've had multiple interactions with someone but you can't remember their name, but it's gone too far to admit you've forgotten, so you just have to call them love or mate forever. Okay, this person is either Australian or British, because I've never called anyone love or mate. Maybe mate, I guess. But yeah, it's awkward when you don't know someone's name after knowing them for a long time. That's a big thing in university, because you meet so many different people, and then like a year later you're like, hey you, how's it going? That's my go-to. Hey you. Someone has a trick for this. Start being more loving to them, eventually getting into a relationship. As this moves further, propose and they'll say yes. And then when you're getting married, wait till the pastor turns and says, will you, person's name, marry your name? And boom, you now know their name. That's it. It probably seems like an easy solution to me. Basically, all of you should get married. That'll solve all your problems. That's bad advice, don't listen to that. Being at a friend's house as a kid and the friend's mother starts yelling at your friend. Or being at a friend's house as a kid and the friend's father walks in only wearing underwear. Can't say I've experienced the second one, but definitely the first one. That's always awkward. Or when your friend's parents try to bring you into the argument, or like, oh, I'm sure, in this case, me, Noah, I'm sure Noah never acts like this around his parents, or I'm sure Noah never does this, or I'm sure Noah's parents never accept that behavior. I'm just like, don't drag me into this. This isn't my problem. And it's also awkward if if your parents do it to you and your friend when your friend is over. It's just really, it's unfair. Parents, don't drag other people's kids into your family problems. Apparently some people have seen their friends' fathers naked. That's, yeah, genuinely, I've never seen any of my friends' parents naked or in underwear. Yeah, that's bad image. Thank you, Reddit, for that. I almost said Reddit. Thank you, Reddit. Watching a sex scene with your parents. Yup, that's awkward. Yeah, but typically, luckily, growing up, my parents would always fast forward those scenes. So honestly, I think I prefer that than having to watch it. But I don't know, maybe that's because I have maybe that's unhealthy. I don't know. Someone has a story though. Visited my aunt and uncle 7 years ago, and we were hanging out watching TV. My uncle clicks through the channels and stops on Harold and Kumar. Escape from Guantanamo Bay. Within minutes, it's the shaved pussy party scene. My aunt and uncle sit there in silence, watching, not saying anything until the scene is over, while I sweat bullets. If you put an acorn between my butt cheeks, I could have cracked it. A few months ago, I visit again. Uncle flips through channels. It's Starship Troopers. Within minutes, it's a sex scene, and the boobies are out. I'm not visiting anymore. It's one of my favorite stories I think I've ever read on Reddit. It's so funny to me because it's so relatable. I could totally imagine myself in that situation. I'm trying to think if I've ever been in that situation. Or with a bunch of... No, I can't Not with parents, with friends, yes. But that's different. I don't know. I wish. When you run out of things to say during a conversation, you're not quite sure how to end it. Story of my life. As a pretty shy introvert who's not great at social interaction sometimes, I've gotten a lot better. But you still get into situations where you just run out of things to say. And you're just sitting there like, yeah, totally. So, how about that? And you're like, if you're not good at conversations, if you're not good at continuing them and bringing up topics or asking questions, which for a long time I haven't been, it's really awkward, and you just have to hope the other person can, like, say something. When you think someone waves at you, so you wave back, but they're waving at someone behind you. That's what I was talking about earlier. So awkward. It's the same thing as if someone says hello, and you think it's directed at you, but it's directed at someone else. If they come in and they wave, and you're like, hey, and it's not directed at you. It's so bloody awkward. Like, I swear, I think I had a moment in university where this girl I was kind of interested in, but didn't really know very well, she came up, like, walking directly at me and, like, smiled and I think gave, like, a little wave or said a little hi or something, and I'm like, what the, like, I'd barely talked to her, so I'm like, I think I might have smiled and, like, maybe nodded or something, but I'm like, was this directed at me? And I turned, it was directed to someone who was behind me or sitting in my general vicinity or something, and I'm like, this is so uncomfortable, because it's like your heartbeat gets up when that kind of thing happens. You're like, oh crap, it's just like, are we gonna have a conversation? Is she gonna talk to me? Why? I barely know you. And yeah, it wasn't, so it's awkward. Okay, someone has a good church story. Here we go. Not long ago at church, we were asked to turn and greet people. Typical church thing. If you've never been to church, they always have this 5-minute meet and greet where you have to shake each other's hands and say, like, how are you doing, blah 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 blah. It's really unnecessary. It's forced. It's a forced community. I turned around and this guy said hi to me and stuck his hand out to shake. Yes, been there. I went for it and realized he was talking to the woman beside me. She and I both ended up with a hand in his hand at the same time, trying to shake it. They both looked at me, and I quickly turned around and pretended it didn't happen, which made it more awkward. Then the rest of the service, I couldn't stop laughing about it. Yep, been there. Maybe not quite that situation. That's really awkward. 2 hands in one. But definitely you think someone's gonna shake your hand, so you have your hand out and then you don't. I end up, if I go to church, which isn't always anymore, because that's for another video maybe, it's always like I just sit there and pretend like nobody's around me, and if they, like, want to shake hands, they'll look at me, and that's easier. But yeah, awkward church laughter is pretty awkward, depending. Like, if the pastor says something sexual and doesn't realize it, you just sit there giggling. That's always fun. When someone asks, what's going on? And you respond, good, you. Yup. Me every time. At McDonald's, when I used to work at McDonald's, I used to do that a lot, where someone would come in and be like, what's up? Oh, good, you. It's so awkward. Oh, yeah. This I've actually done this so many times. How are you? I'm fine. What about you? Great. You? Yeah. It's because you have, especially when, again, you're not naturally social. You're not naturally good at conversation. You have, like, default answers you can just rattle off, so that you don't have to put too much, like, energy into it, and it sounds more like fluent. Yeah. And so you always said, like, good, you. Good, you was always my default. Actually, this is a perfect time for this story. One time, while I was working at McDonald's, I phoned the hairdresser to make an appointment for a haircut, and I called, and they didn't answer the first time, and it was really, whatever. I'm just like, that's weird. And they called me back like a minute later, so it must have just been a weird phone issue. So they called, and they're like, hi, this is the hair lounge. This is where I go and get my hair cut. And I almost replied with, hi there, what can I get for you? Because when I was working drive-thru at McDonald's, that was my default. That was always, hi there, what can I get for you? And so when they called back and they said something, my immediate response, for some reason, was just like, hi there, what can I... And I just froze at that moment. I'm like, wrong response. Oops. And yeah, that was kind of awkward. But luckily it was over the phone. So, you can recover from that. And just be like, oh, hi, yeah, I want to book a haircut or whatever. But yeah, so totally relate to that. The fake smile on your face when you receive a terrible gift. Yep. Actually, I haven't had that too many times. Maybe like disappointed when you don't get quite what you asked for. You might still get something you enjoy, but like you feel like internally dead. But you try to be happy because they still put a lot of thought into your gift. You don't want to be an asshole. So yeah, that's a hard one. Cause you want to be nice, but you're still disappointed. And yeah, that's a good way to keep the ego in check, to be honest. When you're finishing up the checkout and then cashier puts the notes on top of the receipt and then coins on top of that, then the next person steps up and you're fumbling trying to disassemble the stack in your hand, gather your shopping, say thanks and move away at the same time. I don't usually do much like shopping where I have to talk to a cashier, so this is not too relatable for me, but I imagine it might be for you. I used to do that at McDonald's all the time when I handed cash back, like a couple coins on top of the $5 bill and then in their hand. Some people gave me crap for that. So, yeah. Be nice to your cashiers. Maybe they don't know what they're doing. I'm at least handing out cash. That sounds bad. I knew what I was doing. I never lost money. When you're walking and almost trip for no reason and look back at the invisible stick that you tripped on. Yep. Oh, that is a good one because we're all in isolation. When you're video chatting, start talking, and because of the delay, you interrupt each other all the time. Yes. Stop talking, start again, interrupt the other one, stop talking, never-ending story. That's why I hate video chatting. It's just, they don't have the same, like, a good connection. It's just so friggin' uncomfortable having to constantly interrupt and pause and whatnot. When you say a funny joke but all you get is silence. Yep. Yep. When you joke around and you don't get anybody laughing or just those awkward giggles, it's like you always question whether you're actually funny. Or when you're playing Quiplash and nobody votes for your answers. But anyway, that's my own sad problems. I think I'm going to wrap it up here. I hope you enjoyed. I hope this distracted you and helped you escape a little bit and that you could relate to some of these awkward encounters. And until next time.